since then. Both your books, Tennis Partner and this one also, are very rich with visual imagery. And Tennis Partner is a very tragic story about doctors sort of suffering and
So actually, for the Tennis Partner, for the longest time there was not much interest, but there was some feelers sent out about 2 months ago, unrelated to this book or the publicity. And just a few weeks ago, we sold it for a very modest sum, the option.
Okay.
So no guarantee that it'll be made into a movie. And with this one, I have no idea. I think it has to sort of percolate down to the powers that be. But it's such a different medium, Asim, really. I just feel like I have no way of judging how something works in the movie world. It's just a completely different business. I think when you write a screenplay, for example, it becomes a collaborative act. You write this, and then you get suggestions from all these people, and so whereas this, I live and die by what I did and what my editor did with me, the choices we made. Whereas I think movies are much more collaborative and therefore lose some of their individuality at times. The great danger is that.
Right. You're a very quiet person, I can tell, and I'm sure you immerse yourself in your writing. How did it feel when you saw Naveen Andrews playing you, and sort of your life story being told, including your own personal, your marriage, and there were issues there, which you very honestly discussed in the book also.
And frankly, I never wrote the book thinking that I would fess up to all those things. And I think there came a point when I was writing this very personal story about these other individuals, and I became a character. The fact that I was heterosexual, foreign, was an important sort of parallel to the story. And so to the degree that the camera was turning on the other person, that my editor kept saying, we have to know about you. So I didn't voluntarily come up with that stuff, but once it's out there, I'm comfortable with it. But it was tough. It was a painful thing to do initially. But now that it's out there, I'm pretty proud of it. I've lost the train of the question. Where was this heading?
No, I was talking about looking at yourself and your character.
So Naveen came and lived with me for a week.
Oh, really?
And he's a Shakespearean actor born in England, and so he was learning to do me, and I was having a lot of fun learning to do him, and we had a rollicking good time for a week. And it was sort of strange to see the movie, and frankly, I possess the movie, but
I have a video of it also.
And I don't. It's not like I go put it up and look at it regularly. It's the same with the two early books. I find it hard to pick them up and read them. My itch to get involved in deconstructing it and rearranging is still strong. With this book, and I think it's the difference between fiction and non-fiction, I felt much more comfortable recently. I was picking it up and found that I could get into it as an observer without putting on my editorial hat. So,
do you foresee, I don't know, what's your next project, first of all?
I'm embarrassed to say that I don't have a ready soundbite to trot out with my next.
500 plus pages you wrote over a period of how many years?
Yeah, and not only that, I feel like I've put everything I know into this one book. Everything I love and everything I believe and all the little pearls that I've picked up. So I think the tank has to fill up again, and I have to sort of think about it.
Did you foresee writing a book that doesn't have anything to do with medicine or doctors?
I think it's very possible. But then, what book doesn't have anything to do with the mortality of human beings?
That is true.
What book doesn't have to do with suffering, love? So, I would say it's impossible to write a book that doesn't have medicine, so to speak, in it. But it doesn't have to be this medical. I certainly think that that's possible. Yeah.
So what has your experience been like in the past when you finished each book, and how long did it take you between your first and second book, for instance, to sort of refuel yourself and your energy? Yeah,
so it's interesting. When I finished the first book, I realized that there's a huge interest in the publishing world for non-fiction, more than fiction. I guess because non-fiction more predictably sells a certain amount. And so right away the publishers were saying, well, what's your next book? What's your next non-fiction book? And it just so happened that I had lived through an extraordinary series of events while writing the first book. The loss of a very dear friend, and the watching him, a physician, descend into addiction. And it made me very aware of the phenomenon of suicide and addiction among physicians. But I also wanted to give tribute to this friendship. And so the second book sort of emerged organically, partly from the desire of the publishers and because I had lived through that experience. When I finished that, again there was this question, what other non-fiction book do you have? And I really said, no, I really don't want to do that. I want to do fiction. And unlike nonfiction, you can't get an advance to write a novel based on, a proposal by and large. So I had to
Although you had a track record.
I had a track record, but it's a lot to ask of a publisher. But nevertheless, when I got about a year into the novel, I went to my agent and I said, I know this is not done, but given how long my writing takes, it took me 4 years for the previous books, each one 4 years. This one took about 6 to 8 years. I really want some affirmation that this is worth continuing. And so she liked what I had, and she said, okay, I'll try it. It's not done, but let me take these 100 pages and shop it around. And I got a contract, and that was, I think that was a very reassuring thing, to have the knowledge that when I finished, and with the help of a wonderful editor, Robin Desser, that I would have a product that was guaranteed to come out there.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.